Right. So I thought of asking you as last when it comes to the screen.
Down.
Yeah.
That.
So as a MBA student now, the skill apart from the knowledge that you accumulate in terms of subjects, and in the real world, it's about how to execute things. And which is always the argument. It's not, and which is always ongoing learning. So whatever that we learn in textbooks, being tested, the memory being tested and all that. And when it comes to real world, it's dynamic. What I meant by that is there is a certain amount of mastery has to come. So that's why it's called master. Now, but in all our lives, there is a period of apprenticeship. I think in the doctor it's about 7 years. No end. Sometimes because the system is changing. So apprenticeship to mastery, you can't be apprentice every day also in a lifetime. So my way of looking at MBA is that there are certain skills that you develop by analyzing cases, at the same time by accumulating the knowledge around it. What do you think about this? What is your thinking? It's in real world, but what is your thought? So there isn't any right or wrong. I would make it safe here. There isn't any right and wrong answers. So we need to be critical, and there's no any guru dola kind of thing, unless we have to have that ground clear. So we need to be able to argue clearly with a lot of respect to each other, and then to come up with the best understanding. So I may ask certain questions to get you engaged, because we are engaging our minds and collaborating with different thoughts. So if it is a book or maybe the presentation, you can just go to it even that. But this time together is just done to have our articulate our thoughts. That's what the practical thing. How we become safe in terms of expressing our needs and articulate. Come to a better understanding than what we are having right now. So that's the challenge. Yeah. So what do you think in terms of mastery? Being a master in administration, the program that you have chosen, and with the final that module as you said. What is your understanding?
Should be able to handle any situation which comes up in our workplace. Keeping everyone in mind, because we involve the patients as well as the doctors, consultants, and also the staff who is there, the nurse maintenance. So you can't only think of the patient side and then come to your company.
Thank you for sharing. So it's the essence I got is like, so inclusiveness, collaborating with all stakeholders. This is all management jargon. But finally, it's about teamwork and achieving a commonly agreed objective. So yes, what is your thought about it? Master, you are being a master to be a master of something. To master something.
We also think that collaborating with all the categories of all the stakeholders, not only inside the hospital, the institute, but it might be some parts which that are being impacted by our work. Therefore, we have to collaborate all these stakeholders to make them in a exit might be the peaceful manner. Or sometimes, otherwise, all the time it is quarrels and struggles and trade union actions and all these things. When it comes to the master, he should be in a very good, broad-minded person and having the skills to work in collaboration with all the stakeholders.
So when they explain that, I actually started listening and summarizing. It's about I sense the complexity there in managing things. And so doing a master's means like you, or maybe getting into a PhD means you create a debt as well as like you complicate your mind. Why? Because you handle complexity outside. Know your complex inside. Like it's like a computer system where DOS, you started with DOS and then now Windows 10 or 12. So, but without DOS, there isn't any existence of Windows 10 or 12. So, I think in the medical industry or any industry, somewhere it started and then industry also moving forward. Right? And our subject today is international business. So, now I see a system, it's about me or I, myself, my team, maybe my good one. So my organization, right? So please be seated and I will include you in my right? Just finish this part. So I myself and team is about me or us organization. Then in the subject that we study, we go beyond organization, it's about industry. Right? And then we go further beyond. It's what is the next system? It may be the country, right? And then yeah, so they the same system interacting with another system which is outside, a totally different system. Now, culture for me is how I live, how I behave, how I talk, and what value that I carry, virtues, and what ethos that I live in. Our team has such, and then organizations have such. It is systemic thinking, right? So, in international business, we are getting engaged with a totally different system. Maybe another organization in a different country which carries different values, so different way of operating. Right? So, and we are talking about complexity. And why do we do masters and become a master of something? So I asked, like, we all have to end our like say apprenticeship. So being a doctor, you spend a number of years studying books and then practice and then intern and then you work with the superior. So it's like transferring your uh, inactive learning to active learning. And learning never ends. So now from that point we came to international business. So I just asked the question like why, then I never directly asked why, how it is important for you to choose a master program and how it is benefiting you. So individually I asked. Right? So then we came into this discussion and I set the ground that if somebody comes, we'll give that space to whoever comes and put them into the conversation and we set up and I told and just thank you. Yeah, I think so. Very good. Absolutely. I'm Priyank. Can't even say I'm Jack from it's glad to meet you. So what we are going to do is like have a conversation. There is a certain level of instructions, right? I know you must have done certain work around this particular subject, right? I'm just assuming. Right? And then we'll see what we can achieve as a team. So, and I believe that this is an adult learning process. So it's not that we are teaching to the students. So that's why I encourage conversation. And in fact, up to here, we individually started articulate our thoughts and put it as a conversation, and which is a skill which is very much in need into day-to-day administration. So, since I am an organization consultant, so I go in organizations. I do under different organizations for the last 10 years, so I see the great need of leadership. So then we move into the subject matter. Right? So, I can actually. Hello, Sapron. So, I'm Grantha.
Dr. Hifat tayo.
You're Dr.
Hifat.
H.
Hifat.
Pronunciation.
Yes, that's what she meant.
I may sometimes forget the name, right? So, but I'm trying to memorize. So, forgive me if I misspell or ask again. There it is, right? Okay. So, the quick inclusion. So, we agreed like whoever who comes late to include. So, they are going to bear with me, but I'm going to be quick than Dr. Priyanka. I believe this is an adult learning class, and because of that, I encourage conversation. Yeah? There isn't any right or wrong answers, but it is important for us to articulate whatever that I am thinking around this particular discussion or the point that we are discussing. Right? So then we try to integrate or collaborate all those thoughts and get into a higher level of understanding. That's the whole goal. And wherever I feel like this part of teaching, I will do. Otherwise, I want to hear your understanding in terms of getting this what? Assignment. And I want, like, my wish is you can take this beyond the assignment. That is, as a team, that we are good sense that we are in a certain discussions. Then we came to this. In real world, we are mastering certain things, right? During the lifetime. So we choose to master medicine. Many months. So each one of us, apprentice and going towards the mastery. Right? So mastery means it's the mind is complex. They can respond to things quickly. Otherwise, we respond to things quickly in a reaction to protect ourselves. Now, this response is to solve issues and complexity that is coming into day-to-day practice. Say, suppose you are managing a hospital, there is a complex situation. You need to have some kind of wisdom to bring in solutions. Not only your collective wisdom. How I can collect the other minds into bringing the solution. That's about living, finally. It's not artificial. It's the day-to-day thing that we are evolving to a higher level of wisdom. So doing international business is very complex in that term. Because we are moving from say suppose Apple, Apple product, right? Is it an international brand or a global brand? It's beyond the international, it's global, right? Globally known brand, right? So maybe it was started in somebody's mind. Who is that person? Steve Jobs. So he was dreaming about apples. He was dreaming about. You can read this autobiography. he was a very creative person, and yeah. Hi. So bear with me. I'll include you into the discussion. Okay. Just give me 1 minute. He was dreaming about. He's an artist actually. He was studying calligraphy and various things. Right. Finally, he managed to integrate calligraphy into computers, and today we are doing it into a different level. So he was a creator. So he was not looking outside. He he was actually looking inside out, because he found something in him which potential to generate something through him. That's what the mastery is about. Right? Now, what I'm going to show you is his thinking from inside out has brought in a global brand, right? And which people pay maybe 4 or 5 times higher than a normal laptop or a computer or a gadget, right? And it has become global. So there is a complexity in terms of getting that this creativity, that generation power into the global brand. Unless without a team, we cannot achieve that. Right? So we'll see. Uh, we were discussing, Doctor. What's your good name? Sir? Tushar, right? So, Dr. Tushar and Jayant. So we were discussing and we agreed somewhat. If somebody comes in after we start the discussion, we'll include them. So I'm going to include you in 30 seconds with respect to them. So, and this is an adult learning class, and I expect that you and me and us articulate things rather than listening and like listen to lectures. So we'll go a little beyond that, and I would like you to articulate your thoughts and discuss around certain things. Right? And there's no intention to check your understanding or anything, but it's about we get together and get into a high level of understanding. Right? So no judgment here. So whatever that, even you be safe, like if you have not read or I know you're engaged in work day to day, so you have to be safe among us to accept that and start jumping in, right? Okay. Any questions? Okay. Okay. Comfortable? Ready to learn? Right. Now we will frame the today's session. Today's session, what would be the frame? What is the? I'm very good in doing homework. So my mind is, each one learns different way. Some learn very systematically. So I already noticed it. Tuck. So is it to project management, IT, and he knows the computer or logic on that. So I'm just assuming. Right. So my mind is like playing, pinball. Yeah. The two learning styles. One style is snooker style. If you hit, it has to be in that pit or whatever. That one style. Tell me straight. Another style is pinball absolutely may ball ka pinball ka tulad another tackle other where it will stop. So that is another way of learning. So our brains works in those both ways, right? So I welcome both of that. My style is more for pinball. So if you notice that you need to focus, help me. Okay, so ask me the question. Can we do that? Right. All right. So this assignment, what do you know about this assignment?
Yeah. Yeah. We have to do some number of questions in the session. Or take series more than 5 pages. Yes.
Right. Or
Yes.
each question?
No, I think that is not exceeding.
So that actually it's very very nice way of doing it. It's page is about, okay, we'll do the calculation. Paragraph, how many sentences? 5 sentences, right? Fantastic. A good solid paragraph, 5 sentences. One sentence is how many words? So this way, when you write in a A4 paper, 8 into 5 is 40 sentences, 40 words in a para, right? Remember that? 40 words in a para. How many paras in a page? 3 paras? 5 paras. 3, 4. Okay, so you said 4. Huh? 5 and 3 and 4 words, right? 4 paras into 40, 160 words, right? Isn't it? Into. And the challenge is you will get lost in this sea of information. So what to choose is the challenge. What is relevant to this particular answer is the challenge, right? Nikita, like say, I was thinking of uh, before we go in another thing, I will tell you like what we are learning in MBA, like the skill that is developing is mainly that I understood, as I understood, is critical thinking.
Am I on the recording now?
Is it on?
No, I did.
Ah,
I did.
it's not yet.
Oh, okay.
So I won't set the ground first properly. So the critical thinking. What do you understand about it? Have anybody, any time you discuss about critical thinking? And we are doing it every day, right? So critical thinking uh, is now when you're facing situations, you're asking questions. What are the basic questions that we ask? Generally, what are the questions we ask? If I'm facing a situation in the hospital or with a patient or maybe at home, who, when, what,
Yeah.
where.
Why?
Okay. So, what is more powerful in order? If you put it into order, what is the most powerful thing? Why? Okay. In order, so why comes, then what, then how, and where and all that. Yes. Actually, the whole civilization moves with this in this frame. Right? You go back, say 1,000 years back, or maybe 50,000 years back, also people were asking these questions in somewhat. So they were asking, okay, where can I find water? Right? Then they were moving themselves towards river or somewhere that the water source is there. Right? But again, then later on, with the advancement of the brain, what happened? They asked more of what kind of questions? Why questions? Now we ask, if you look at civilization and generations, now people ask more of like why. And try to be creative around these areas, strategizing. Right? So critical thinking is about this. But to do this, we need to be open-minded first. So if we come to certain biases, then we can't really see the alternatives. There can be biases because how I learn is my bias. My experience is my bias. But again, I have to challenge my experience to see differently. Generically speaking. So think logically. Okay. I should say think logically and mindfully and heartfully, both. So that's why you are in this function, you have a heart and a mind both. Right? So, reasonably and collaboratively. So this is what we are doing. So to do that, we need to be a person who is observing things. Now, in terms of doing the masters, you have a problem, issue, then what we have to do? Question එක තියෙන scenario එකක් කියනවා. It's the problem now, issue now. Maybe they have given a story. First thing is what? මොනවද ඉස්සලා අපි ප්‍රශ්නයක් අහපු කරන්නේ? What do we do then? Exactly. Exactly. So it's about understanding the question. So don't you do it in medical profession? Diagnosing. Right? So the same thing applies in the in creating a master, the answer to the master. So what is the problem here? But the thing is, most of the time, first hand, you can't find the real problem immediately because we have a bias. We have a way of looking at things. But if you can step back and be open-minded, you can see many other ways that to see the problem. So that's why you sometimes in complicated issues, the doctor goes to a supervisor, is it? And then discuss. Maybe a team of doctors discuss. Why is that? To pinpoint that what exactly, understand different perspectives of this issue. Same things that we are going to do in the answer. First step. Hari. What is the second step? You understood. This is the issue. Last minute. What is the next step?
Through your experience, how you to correlate and
Really?
relate.
Yeah. So it can be experience, it can be knowledge, it can be theory. That is in the answering the MBA question, it's the stated or maybe relevant theory that is taught in this particular program. Like question again. So you are relating. Same thing happens there, right? Say diagnose and you know the issue, you will refer to the certain text or whatever the knowledge, experience and all. And these are logical sequences there, right? Okay, then what is the next step? You understood the problem, you know the relevant theory.
But now is how to see the best scenarios relevant to you.
Now it's about issue, and this is what they have said before. Now I am facing it right now. So what I am experiencing right now, and what are the possible solutions or alternates? There are not one way. This way, that way, and the group discuss and come up with another way. So, but still, it's those are methods, or maybe ways, or maybe solutions, not one. Right? And what is next? Okay, you choose what is the best in that context. Don't forget the context. Today the best solution, tomorrow is not. So you know that. So in that context, you can in this context, this. Tomorrow is changing, right? Okay, so now you choose the best in that context. Then what is the last thing? If you made that decision, what is next? Especially in terms of answering questions. When you are writing for examining, the next thing is justification. Why I am saying this is the best? Are you there? What do you like to say? So there are paragraph वगैरह लेना तो මේ paragraph එකේ each paragraph you can demonstrate that you are going to score marks. If you really look at a good textbook and look at a paragraph, this is the format. It talks about the issue, it talks about the relevant theories, then it talks about some solutions and some recommendations by the author. You are doing the same thing. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. 4 steps. Clear? Because නැත්නම් ස්කෝර් කරන්න තියෙන එකේදී 5 pages. And we can get lost also writing here and there, some, right? And they have given certain paragraphs. Right. The ලියන හැටි critical thinking එක integrate වුණා කොතනද? Answer. Suppose you are doing a PhD, it is the same format. You know this actually. You have done it many times in your day-to-day medical practice, isn't it? What do you think? And some kind of food. Or scientific. So from mechanics, there's no need to. You writing this or any exam in that sense, right? Well, the thing is now we have time. So we have our time is the biggest resource. Now, how many books that to be read? How can I do it in the shortest possible time? So there are challenges. So I think in certain other class so are we clear? Then we have to look at this is the last one. All the other papers, go through. Not young, I did. So you got this assignment already?
Yes.
Nice. First question is about ඒක තියනවාද බලන්න.
How globalization has influenced the international business.
Right. Very good. It's a very short question, right? How globalization, the keywords. So I'll ask her to.
It's minimized.
Okay, so you have this text, but I would like to see like how do you understand this concept? What is global? What? So if I ask you a question, okay, if you look at yourself now, what are the any evidence that you find that you are globally connected, probably you are influenced by the globalization? Anything? Okay, what it means? Huh?
Mobile phone.
Mobile phone. So beautiful. So how do you relate that into globalization?
I mean, everyone in the world uses it. We are
Okay.
connected essentially to the internet and all these things. Throughout anything accessible on the net, we can connect symbolically as well as something more deeper.
Exactly. So theory says, or maybe if you look at last 20 to 50 years maybe, so the world has evolved in terms of technology, right? Especially in terms of the microprocessor, telecommunication technology, uh, communication related technology, as well as transportation, right? And you immediately touch the mobile. And in fact, now this particular thing, You can, do many things which we never thought that can happen because of the development of the microprocessors. So what happened over the years, like for the microprocessor, what happens? The processing speed, it doubles every 18 months. That's the speed. There's a law called Moore's law, if you read. Right? Every 18 months, the speed doubles and the size diminishes. And that's why even in any medical equipment now, or any vehicle, or you name it, all equipments, we get that benefit, right? So nanotechnology using those developments in chemistry and connecting into building the processors. Like you may have heard that initially the computer is like have you ever saw that valve radio in those days? You can see those big valves inside. Now there isn't anything like that, right? So the technology evolved. So okay, this is one example how the world evolved and then technology evolved. So how this is impacting us, influencing us in terms of business. Internationality do business, how it is evolving now. Taken from this point. Yeah.
Online buying, selling.
Online buying, selling. Anything, Dr. Like say, any evidence that you have personally experienced that? Now, I used to read books and I'm reading books. And now, right, I have my books and my library is in my mobile. And so these are the books, my library. So Awakening, Mindfulness, Leadership Challenge, Daring Greatly, Full Spectrum Supervision, Immunity to Change, Holy Bible. So there are about 50 books which I bought to paying online and reading online. Not only that, I have an Audible library. So it helped me to listen to books rather than reading, because I just don't want to waste my eyes all the time. I want to use my ears while driving. So this is technology. Thank you, Doctor, for that. So we can do any amount of business online. Now I'm a coach. I help individuals and groups. I do online psychometric assessments, which is whole processing happens in US. I do my payment here to a TT. So the transactions happen, and people assessing somebody in a 360 manner, and I'm getting a report. And report is printed somewhere. Processing happens in US. Administration happens in Dubai. Sri Lanka, I'm using it. You got my point. So all this is possible because of the internet and World Wide Web, the technology, right? Okay. So we started with the mobile. Anything else that you see in terms of globalization? So to get some help, so I will just have these headings. So these are the areas being influenced by globalization. Shrinking world, what it means? Is the world shrinking?
Very closer.
Yeah, we are very much connected, right? Now, so I see people talking to each other in video conferencing. And I teach 40, 50 people all around the globe connecting through Zoom. There's a platform. I heard, I have no experience, like certain operations being done, you must be knowing about these things. No, like operations being done,
Telemedicine.
telemedicine. No, what is that?
Telemedicine.
Tell me something about it, like how the technology helps, if you know.
We can get the expertise opinion, specialized opinion from the distance.
Right.
The remote areas.
Remote areas, the doctors can get the
So you can
specialized.
send the X-ray or MRI or something.
Right.
The specialist is not available at that point.
Okay.
So you can send the MRI or the investigations or get the opinion from expertise.
Fantastic.
Now, live image can be
So
sent.
what are the benefits doing that? Why is the
Without
need?
sending the patient. I mean, no need to transport the patient to, distance.
Oh,
You can't mobilize sometimes in the ICU somewhere.
yeah.
So you can get the, your boss or the senior guy.
Specialist can't come to the
Come to
Come to the area,
okay,
that
rural
area,
areas and
rural
it takes
areas,
time.
what to,
It takes time.
Only the emergency room at 11 o'clock at night. Someone comes and I got a CT scan.
Yeah.
I have a CT scan, but I don't know what it means.
Okay.
Let us take a vital picture and send it to the neurosurgeon who I am already with
Yeah,
the
what to do?
patient.
Take
What
the
do I
decision.
do?
Fantastic.
Make it at night.
Right. So this is your personal. I'm sensing that you are experiencing these things now. So in terms of business, international business, what is happening in this particular area? We'll take it forward, right? What's happening now? Say suppose somebody in US and then India, right? And doctor said it's MRI or HMRI or whatever, right? So, what is the business relationship you see? Any businesses?
Yeah, medical tourism.
Wow. Medical tourism. So, why? Why medical tourism?
In US, it's very costly.
Oh,
Very
yeah, cost. The benefit is there.
The long queues, long waiting lists.
Yeah, less doctors, less specialists, very expensive. They are actually, the annual earning is about 400,000 USD plus. Okay. So, but India, plenty of doctors, the knowledge is there.
The facilities also same as US.
Yes. So you can see there is medical tourism, and as you already mentioned that the what do you call it? Medical traveling. No, the previous one that you explained about reading the telemedicine. So these things possible because of the cost advantage, and then there's another one, time difference. We are sleeping here, but here they are awake. So next day morning when they wake up, the report being sent. So all this is possible because of and communication, industry related advancement. Right. So beautiful. So have you noticed that whatever that we are experiencing, if you put it into the format of business, you can see this happening internationally. That is international business. And we'll take another point. Right. How about brands? What are the brands that you are using?
Global brand.
Yeah.
Samsung.
The last says everything is that. So do you, when you say global brand, what it tells you? Now say Toyota. Okay. What it tells you that when you say Toyota in terms of international business, and you say global brand. So in that context, what it tells you when you say Toyota? I'm driving a Toyota. and I have a preference towards that, we say, and you say, no, I don't want Toyota, I'm an opinion that. So this choice is there, right? Wide variety of choices. So how do you think about this brand? What is the association?
Toyota.
Hmm?
The Toyota brand.
Yeah. How do you see that as a global brand?
Only cost,
Cost, quality,
reliability.
reliability, safety, maybe, because a lot of R&D is going into the product, right? Okay, who owns it? Who's doing it?
Japanese.
Japanese. Yeah.
Then the drivers, they have
Japanese, or maybe we don't know.
Probably in Thailand.
Thailand, Malaysia,
Malaysia.
They
Indonesia.
have their own centers all throughout the world, and they cater, those centers cater to the tailors.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not very clear here. Right. Well, so you can look at the car. So this car, particular parts been done in Belgium, in Germany, in Netherlands. Just one car, right? And I work with here the Trelleborg and for certain factories. The Camoplast Solidil, that is the tire people. Solid tires they manufacture, and it goes to airline. They do airline tires, and then Caterpillar tires, right? And it's been sold somewhere in the world, but this particular part is done by us.
Yeah, but it's not like
Yeah.
in Sri Lanka, Hans, no?
Of course, yeah. Who's that?
He's going to contest for the election. The
Oh, yeah.
If you do 2020.
Yeah. It's all integrated, like so. It was the what's his name? Mr. Palwata, right? Yeah. So people get visions, no? So that then the globalization. Now say the whole arena of international business is influenced politics also, right? So there's no separation for these things, right? So let us see. So now I asked the question. How I asked the question? What is the product? Okay, so you went into. Now if you look at this Boeing, you get into the door is manufactured somewhere in France. Huh? So wings in Japan, tails in US. Now, when you say a global brand, is it a Japanese brand? Yeah, maybe they own it. Right? Who really benefits? Can you see the integration? Who really benefits? Whoever who is having that competitive advantage of manufacturing it at a lower cost with a higher quality benefits. Right? You remember the era where the garments were manufactured, all kinds of brands were manufactured here. Still, it is somewhat. The majority being shifted into where? Vietnam, Bangladesh. What is that? What it tells us?
Hospital. Less cost.
The same story, right? Where because sometimes for us to manufacture the aeroplane, it is possible. But it may cost us so many times to manufacture a kilo of tea. And many tons of tea that we can do at that cost. Right? So what I want you to think is like, okay, globalization influence. Now we talked about brands, no? So how the brands being influenced and marketed. So is there a American brands anymore? Yes. And no. No. Yes and no. Right? It's been accustomed and matched with our own cultures. So there are certain pluses and minuses. So there is a like kind of a resistance and as well as okay. Now say McDonald's opening up another franchising with us and open up a branch. What is the benefit for us? Huh? Yeah. So we can positively look at it as it creates employment. Not else. It gives that look, or maybe we are not outdated, right? We are in the trend of development. Or maybe it can give us that it will create more junk eaters and more sickness will come. That line also we can think, right? And we can look at it in anti-American way also, right? So why not something from Sri Lanka, a Sri Lankan burger, like Jinadasa Dalaguri or something like that, right? Somebody Fernando's burger, something like that. But you can see some plus minus, right? So, but again, world is hungry for all these things. Now, whoever who travel, like say, I was in Singapore last week, so I generally don't eat this stuff. Burgers and all. But now I am in the airport. The flight is around, say, I have about 1.5 hours. So I saw this coffee bean or something and then went and I had that one of that. So all these restrictions, but that was for me very convenient at that time. So I was not really looking at what brand and what is the values, value I live and all that. So it's about convenience sometimes, right? So what I want to take you around is culture. These brands have an influence in the way of living, how we do things. Culture का influence है आपकी globalization. Any evidence? Clothing. It's Levi's. So, I don't know what is my cultural clothing in Sarong. But I goes to convenience, right? And I goes to durability. So my choice set has changed. So any other thing, culture, how it is changing the culture? Language, wow. I'm curious to know what came to you when you say language.
This English, that is the national language. Then our expressions, what we think is funny, or the jokes that are said, all of these things, it's not indigenous to Sri Lanka, I guess.
So there's a huge influence in terms of language. Positive side of it? Yeah, we are connecting with anyone now. Say, suppose you travel to UK or US, you speak English, and you speak the similar words, it clicks. Right? So even like China and the Japanese, they start, they know the trading is possible, international trading is possible with language. Right? So I saw Mark Zuckerberg is talking in Chinese. I was surprised to see how he can talk in Chinese, to see that his marriage is also an international marriage. So it's American married to a Chinese family. She speaks Chinese and he learned. So China generally, in general terms, refuses American things generally, right? But in terms of him to penetrate into that, maybe language, because he spoke to a huge crowd in Chinese. So what kind of connection that it creates, right? He's a very influential person in terms of his software, whatever the program with Facebook that he's having, right? So, and you already spotted language and the and the social media. It's because of the globalization. If you look at like certain political unrest that happened in Bahrain, Egypt, right, which is totally toppling the governments and create a lot of issues and even terrorism, right? Bringing those ideology and recruiting staff, things like that happen because of the social media. So the while we are doing business internationally, there are challenges also created. Right?
The music.
Okay. And the A point again.
So when the globalization was, so we used to listen more. I mean, international music, the indigenous.
So in terms of music industry, international business around music. So
Whether you like it or not, I mean,
you have to listen to those FM radio or whatever, or maybe like downloading music, millions of songs with this iPhone and iTunes and all this, because the standard was what? Record labels, right? You remember those cassette pieces and then this record, what is that? The gramophone type thing, then magnetic tapes, then floppy disks and CDs, then pen drives, and now you don't need to have anything. You have the cloud, right? And you have this gadget in your hand and you download. Right? Or you don't need to download, but you can listen. Right? Huge change in terms of like in 20 years. Right? Big change. 20 to 50 years in between that time. So you can see music. The whole industry has changed and it is global. So we came to the culture, language. Language has an impact on culture, how we dress ourselves, what songs to be listened to, right? Now, if you look at businesses around this, globalization has a huge impact on all that. Right? We'll move forward. Okay, one more. Okay. Technology, internet. Equality and inequality. A bit of different subject. What is that? Equality and inequality. What is that? Have you heard of ILO? Yeah. Okay. So can you manufacture something like those days? Like say suppose you are going to set up a garment business and you want to attract buyers. Or you need orders. What needs to happen? Can you just do it? Yeah. So there are certain rules and regulations that you have to adhere to in terms of maintaining certain standards for that labor, right? So the wages, but it's very different from country to country, right? Now maybe Americans thinking Sri Lanka is very cheap. We don't need to spend much, we don't need to pay much of salaries. Now suppose you are the HR manager who is reporting to US, you have you know very well the market here and you can offer certain things and you may not offer certain things. It's your decision, ethically, right? But now what happens? They are going to level it up. Okay, these are the standards. You have to maintain this minimum number of toilets for this number of staff, right? You need to have your factory uh, with the right amount of air inside, the ventilation part, right? The heat has to be like this. To that level, the health and safety like issues being. So it's about like equalizing. So you need to treat each gender people equal. There can be a HIV plus person in the workforce. You cannot discriminate the person. Things coming up in a very different way now. So what I want you to understand is okay, globalization. The question asks you discuss what? What is the examiner is asking you? Very clear.
How globalization has influenced the international business relations.
So if you are attempting this answer, like constructing this answer, what is the best way to start?
Definitions, what is globalization, what is international business.
Brilliant. So that is one way. The doctor wants to start with definitions. Okay, any other ways?
Globalization has affected not just business but every other aspect of our life. And then
So you are going to look at the impact of globalization towards life and business. That's the route that you are going to get into the discussion. Okay. How about you?
I will just explain what is globalization and go into the impact that is.
Yes. So you will just explain. So what is your core area that you are going to put into?
So we have given some examples.
Right.
There's some example.
So you are going to bring examples and then theory into it,
Yes.
and then look at influence factor, how it is influencing this. So then, different styles, right? Yes. How do you want to approach this?
Also, this you starting with the introduction, then we go into the definitions.
Okay.
Then giving the examples and give the description in the so then finalize with the summary.
Right.
Conclusion.
So how many marks? 15 marks. I'm not, it's not me writing. My question will 10 I'm facilitating you. So it's very easy for me to tell. But when I ask you, your mind will go and you look one time, it will be with you. That's the whole idea.
no, it's like
I have
fancy.
gone through all that. Right? I have gone through each word actually. Anyway, so this is where the way of facilitating. It's 15 marks. Now, yeah. So now I'm actually stretching a little bit. Yes. How do you want to attempt? How do you first attempt this?
Now look at the example first and then integrate it with the definitions.
Right. So, whatever the way it is, you have to satisfy the examiner, right? What is the intent here? Intention of the examiner in asking this question. So, if you look at the question, what would be the intention of the examiner?
Do you know about the business.
Which the globalization,
And the international business.
the international business. So it's about the examiner wants to know your comprehension, right? How much you understand this. If you can't understand the intention there with the question, so what he wants us to do in the question, just check.
How
Globalization.
So in terms of demonstrating our comprehension, now if you look at the structure, now if you stretch yourself, initially that is whatever that you say, how do you want to do it differently in terms of demonstrating your understanding? The influences.
You also get the concepts of globalization and then take that into business and see whether you can correlate those concepts in business and maybe note examples.
Right. So right now in our discussion you sense that, right? So whatever we started with the word and we went in search of businesses that can happen. Now say example, doctor started with telemedicine and then we saw why telemedicine in terms of international business. And then we spoke about development communication, right? Say probably transportation. Now say for a US person, a citizen these days, and mostly the insurance companies in US are very interested in getting into FDIs, foreign direct investment in, or maybe having products promoted in hospitals in India and Singapore. Why? Because it is very cost effective for them. If it happens like the claims being done here in US, it is very costly for them. So large insurers looking at quality medical care in Singapore and India and Sri Lanka even. Why not? Right? So we went into finding that business case as I said. What is the relevance? What is that significance that we find in terms of business? So that is one way. What is the stretch you want to bring it here? Yes, we can start with definitions. But now actually you are mastering something and to demonstrate your comprehension. That is the intention of the question. It has to be something more than definitions and ground level basic understanding. Then you get the full one.
Are you expecting the advantages and disadvantages that happen for the US, in this example, the US company as well as Sri Lanka if they use it? We decide to join up
Yeah.
in this chain.
So will that explains the influence that it can have both ways? Yeah. So if that is so, you have to always ask that. Bring in that advantage, disadvantage discussion. Will that explains that influence that the globalization has on this particular thing? Then you should have the quality of the answer. Anything else? Okay. We all cover these areas, right? Transportation technology, we never discuss much, but transportation technology, what it means. Does it have an impact on our lives? What is the recent experience? whole country got affected.
Four.
Four. It's a management issue. But you can see how much we are dependent and interdependent with each other, right? So what is the development in terms of transformation? The jets, right? And the capacity of carriers. Huge.
The time, frequency.
Frequency. So much of traveling. And then whenever you travel, you see something, some technological change or some development in certain industries. You want to bring that into your country, your business.
More destinations.
Pollination, like it's like pollination, like a fly or bee. Same pollination. So all that is happening because of the low cost in transportation. More quantities can be shipped or air freighted with a very minimal cost. Right, with the internet and all that, it is becoming very minimal cost because you don't know from where that is coming. Maybe the distributor order is processed in US, like you type Amazon, you order something and you pay online through the credit card. The payment modes have changed. Right? And there are currencies that is online, cryptocurrencies have come. Okay? So you can see a huge development in terms of that. So how do you enhance the quality? This is my suggestion, but you can see, look at system outside, like say more towards, look at macro data also. Then macro data value going the balagane. The world is where 4 trillion of foreign exchange transactions are made every day. Daily 4 trillion. How much is trillion? 1 into 10 to the power 12. Right? You're right. 13 digits, right? 1 into 10 to the power 12. Right? So, and more than 15 trillion of goods and 3.7 trillion of services are sold across the board, national borders. Can you imagine the number of brands or maybe commodities, right? Without brands, right? Maybe sugar, flour, right? Oil, all that, and even not goods, the services. What are the services? What are the services that we export from here? Huh? What is the highest service that we export? Sadly. She glorified it. Manpower. It's very also. Which we have to be very sad. Right? But that's the reality, right? Where Singapore is with the size of Colombo district, being a very powerful economy, number 2 or 3, right? In the ranks, we will look at it. And attracting huge amounts of FDIs, foreign investment, direct investments, right? And with very productive workforce. So this is where the sadness is. But we can't avoid globalization effects and whatever it is. But now, if you want to enhance the quality of the answer, you should know a little bit of what? Current data. If it is data from all these known examples, it is from the book, you get the marks. But if it is something very relevant and current, that means you are doing what? You can be a lawyer and not practicing. The knowledge is not current. It's history. So you have to present certain immediate things. Now, I'm going to share these links. You can look at it. Certain websites are there to look at the current data. When it comes to this, what are the websites? What are the institutions that you can look in current data? World Bank, IMF, World Bank. What else? UN, Asian development. Yeah, Asian related statistics. So there are research firms like Goldman Sachs, right? There are nice video around the world outlook. There are economists who are continuously doing research. They are expressing their views. Now here the macro picture is, even though growth is quite strong and we think it's going to continue to be strong in 2018, inflation is below central bank budgets and in most places around the world, right? So this is his view, and there is a video. Mamme link, so it will be shared, right? So, and another site is like this AT Kearney Foreign Direct Investment Confidence Index, right? 2017, you can find data like where this world trade is moving, right? WTO information, right? So when you look at this 2017 is just over, right? So where is this whole FDI, the money comes in? This graph, Asia, right? So we can be happy also, right? To someone. Why is that? Sri Lankans, good or bad, we have to face this now. Market is really challenging. We have to be competent. Now, even in your profession, I think it's a lot of advancement is going to happen in terms of technology and probably the medical tourism, those areas, right? Uh, more tourists. Now, in Sri Lankan context, you can see inflow of tourists, right? And it can be medical tourism that is picking, right? So I think uh, the immediate challenge in Sri Lankan context is getting into international business, the political stability, that uncertainty that we create. So, and then maybe even though the political stability that is being demonstrated, but still administration system which is helping any investor to operationalize quickly to run businesses and generate their profits. So that sometimes for the namesake one window, there are systems, no? Like in Singapore, one window, you just go and log your the application for the investment. Everything is done with that application. But here you have to take those documents and go to this minister, that minister, and then you know what will happen, right? Meeting ministers, and then they want to invest so much of millions, then they fifth minister will say, okay, I can't invest. You know why? It can happen in that. So there are challenges like that, but Asia still is having the highest potential. So why I think this kind of information, right, which where the money goes and which investors, right, for which sectors, for which industries that the money is going, this data, like if you look at 2000, now say commercial services. World expects of commercial services totaled US dollar 4.8 trillion in 2016, up from 2006. Last 10 years, if you look at, it is an increase of commercial services. Now, if you look at Sri Lanka in terms of international trade, have some stake here, commercial services. Sri Lankan economy is what? Production-oriented economy or service? So, what kind of service? Are we catering to that need of service orientation? Is Sri Lankan economy aligned to that? What do you think? Most still we are thinking of agriculture and poor and fertilizer. But still we are not clear. And we say service oriented. How much it is aligned to the into this globalization, or maybe to respond to that demand. So what's the direction? So those questions are to be asked, right? So example, if you look at IT industry, there's quite a number of IT graduates and certain companies like foreign companies are here. We don't sense it much. Swedish companies, Finland, those European countries have invested here because the quality of English and the IQ levels are a bit high, and the quality of work, the work quality is high with us, right? So we have secured some share. You can see like Virtusa, various other IFS, right? Millennium IT, there are organizations inside in Sri Lanka, right? So how about medical industry? In terms of providing service?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is only 3 laser acquired hospitals.
Yeah.
So I think still not that good.
So you're, in a way you're saying the cup is half full. So there's a lot of opportunity. Right?
Well, I not like in Thailand, so they have the full capacity to cater the patients, international patients, but all the other things, facilities available.
Right. Now, if you bring in this particular area into your answer, how do you want to discuss that? Answering this question. That particular part, yeah. Say medical tourism or maybe service industry in terms of medical. Now we saw it's not there, right? So how do you want to? If you bring into the discussion of answering this question.
Like the evolutionary stage where we want to reach there, but we haven't done the work to actually establish. Yeah.
So it's about we don't have. So what is that influence that the globalization had in this particular area? If you are bringing that into that context of the question,
it has got us to go for accreditation to increase our stand, trying to increase our stand.
now you change, right? See how you answer the question then with that. So it's not about that we don't have. So there is an opportunity because the FDIs are coming in, right? And we are a service economy. And in medical industry, we have that opportunity. There is an influence in the region. A lot of medical tourists are going to India, going to Singapore, going to Thailand.
We have created that environment.
So it has a influence in terms of for us to uplift and to be competitive. And why you are saying that? Maybe you have to justify. Then you can think of how many medical graduates coming out, or is there a need? Things like that. Because the examiner will see that, then you are what you said, really relating real case into the globalized or maybe international business platform.
So essentially, we can just list out influences and give an example
Exactly.
and go and say what, so it's really our point of view, what we think is the good or
The most important part, as I, as a lecturer, think in terms of master's program, is what you choose as an alternative and how you justify it. Because your part is essential rather than somebody else 50 years through as a theory. Right now you're facing this and you're writing at the master's level. So strategy, thinking of strategy and how it is in an international strategy, how it is affecting economy, what is the global trend, writing from that point, that angle will enhance your leverage your answer. I know it's challenging, it's we are used to by heart. So it's easy, very easy if you cut and paste from here and there.
can influence Google search or
Of course, so you so much, right? So
impact of globalization.
huh?
Google search impact of globalization.
For sure that you will get a hint of how to think and all that. But I believe you have enough material and logic to look at it in that scope or in that glass and bring that your originality into your answer, your way of thinking. Right? So whichever the way that we look at the influences cycle around what is happening around them, it can be the culture, it can be the industries, it can be the manufacturing or service, right? It can be various other elements that we discuss in terms of brands, right? Um, what is the global trend, and where we stand, and these are the challenges that we have, and this is the influence that we can demonstrate in that comprehensive way. Right. Back it up with that. So if we just take a breath, stop and take a breath, like from point that we started up to now, what are your realizations? I'm going to stop and listen. What are you realizing in terms of the first question?
International business is not that easy. It can be competitive. So many influencers.
So it's international, understanding the international arena, that stage or that complexity. But again, your study course has given certain directions or maybe certain parameters to focus on. It can be in different chapters or different modules. They're there, right? So this particular assignment question is inviting you to look at globalization. So you sense that complexity. So from morning to, if you look at this slot with your realization, what are you learning?
How to overcome these challenges?
When you said these challenges,
Influencers and we learn influencers.
So, how it is going to help you as a professional in this program?
So with this, I mean, discussion or the experience, we'll be able to run it. If we, so we can start the, I mean, this business. So
So, yeah. So it can be a startup something around this knowledge, right? Okay, thank you for sharing. So I think that broad way of looking at things, because we tend to be in this moment and whatever that we are experiencing in that cycle always. But when we look at in a broader perspective or stepping back and analyzing it, it brings us a different knowledge. So you see that something can be started with this knowledge. Thank you very much for sharing. So my question is from the morning to now, discussing this first question, what are you realizing? Take a breath and then now whatever that came from Dr. Vat, sorry, I forgot.
Tushar,
Hey,
T,
Tushar,
Tushar,
Dr. Tushar. So, so you're happy to articulate that. So I sense the complexity and it gives me an opportunity to start something or think at least. Actually, thinking is a startup. Huh?
it's a competency.
It's a competency. So, I believe a thinking is action. That's how I look at things. Because thinking is action for me. Right? Why I'm saying that? That's the generation point for anything to actualize. Right? So that's, I think you're happy to hear that in this shortest time, just looking at things broadly. Unstructured day also. Right? Unstructured day also. Right? Yes, any other takeaways before I move forward?
Answer we are doing the master's level should be more elaborated than what we expected in the previous sessions. But these being more informative was will be giving more marks. We have to analyze and give the answer in a critical criticism.
Own it. It's your answer.
All the time there should be a justification on the answer. Nothing.
Because that's the power. That's why you are shifting your mind to a person who can lead a business or lead an organization or lead a country. It's about I myself individually building my own confidence in terms of comprehension. And tell you, this is how I think. That's where the freedom comes, and that's where the expression comes. That's where the generation, power of individuals, the generation comes. That's where the organizations start up. Otherwise, this knowledge is just history. Memorizing history won't give us any solution unless we put it into current context and bring that wisdom is the human wisdom into it and bring in solutions. So what I'm going to do with this understanding in terms of writing an answer for the first question. Two different.
believe that the definitions and all these things are right, but when we give the explanation on the impacts, it should be more comprehensive, giving the examples, and we have to give the advantages and disadvantages and the challenges also, and the justification why we have chosen that kind of example to our answer.
So what do you want to offer to the examiner in doing that? What do you want to offer to them?
With the intention of with the idea that the student has a broader mind and is having master level understanding on international business.
Particularly in that particular frame of question. That frame. Right? So this is applicable to any module or beyond module, I would say, right? It's beyond module because you are finishing this. So my experience, immediately after my MBA, I started my business. I took it as a way of transforming myself, not just as an academic qualification. I know the relevancy of academic qualification diminishing very fast. Even a degree in 3 years, 2 years, and everyone is having a degree. You know, the world is changing faster. But it's about how you apply and how you are going to be very confident and kind of adaptive in real challenges that you're facing in the day-to-day business execution as well as living. So then you have more meaning to whatever that you learn. Right? So thank you for sharing. So you're going to improve the quality of the answer by bringing in evidence in terms of demonstrating that you have a comprehension around how the globalization influencing international business. Yeah, since you are writing it, you have all the freedom. You know where to put the references, right? Now say the framework we have discussed. Even if you are writing a paragraph, where to put the references? First 2 lines of sentence going to discuss issue. Then related theory reference. Then alternative solutions that I am bringing in. Then from that point it's your baby. Right? Then yes. So out of those solutions, my recommendation is this. And you take more pride because you are demonstrating your decision making power and with a justification. Simple. It's very logical. So if you are constructing a paragraph, you take that structure and very clearly you can bring, you read related, now say example, if you want to discuss that particular case of, being more competitive in terms of medical industry and what influences that medical industry is having from the globalization, global competition in terms of attracting more medical tourists to the industry. So you can refer to certain theory around that. So it can be competitive advantage. It can be a certain theory related to attracting a geographical location, or maybe you bring a reference like that, right? It can be a thing that is connected to the technology and maybe our capacity of mind, which is related to uh, certain studies being gone in, like say we'll say uh, we are a nation, majority can speak English language. So it can be like taken into like where the cultural acceptance is there. Any foreigner can come and settle down immediately. Not much of resistance, right? Not like some other parts of the world, right? So it can be certain theory around that can be brought in. Right? So where you take that point and then take the theory, explain in few lines. Because we don't have much to write here. It's 200 words. Isn't it? I'm sorry, 800. 800 is it's really challenging. I would say. At least 5,000 you can write. And, more concise, like the answer is more challenging, right? It has to be accurate and precise, right? Precision and accuracy increases. Like you're shooting. You're shooting, you have to shoot at the bullseye. The all or not all the target. So more you say you summarize this to one page, it's more difficult. This is little easy.
You can like enumerate and like enumerate a list like the influences of the
Yeah, it's, you put it in a way that it's like art. What is the difference between art and a science? So there are steps. It's a combination of art and science. Right? You have to present it in a way like it's very readable and enjoy reading kind of thing. Easily out is the sequencer with 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not a craft. No, that's your choice. You can just throw it out. Then you get a kind of mark. You put it. It's your choice. There's no hard and fast rule. It's your choice. Mum may can be subjective universally. So it's how much you take care of it, you will have a more pleasure for the person. It's all about it's a pleasure game. Writing an answer is a pleasureful. That if you are really liking it, it is going to be artful. More artful, more connection is there. Even you do something like that, even treating a patient is something like that. Now, when you go to Singapore into a hospital, the art part is there. The interconnectedness, the softness, right? So you can see when you travel into different countries. Now, yesterday somebody, a construction engineer, was sharing something with me. He's an elderly person. He was in Sweden or somewhere. Like there was a queue, and he never understood that billing queue. You have to take the token. Now in Sri Lanka also you have this. So he was just sitting, waiting for the next. And there was an old lady came and took the token, and then only he realized I have to take a token from them. So, but then he suddenly realized this and went in and took the token. But that old lady had noticed, looking at that action, that he was before with me, but I took it before me, and she came and told my neighbor. So sir, uh, you came first, give me this token and you go first. And that kind of sensitivity, that kind of sense is available there. Then you can't logically explain these things. You can tell that, do this, but it won't happen like that unless we have that artfulness in us. And that is why he speaks about that. He spoke to me about that even after so many months. And he said, I have told this story to many people. It still touches me. I'm living with that. It's part of me. So this is the kind of impact we are talking about, even writing this. Otherwise, there's no meaning. Just running, doing something. Right? So, yeah, thank you for sharing that. But you told me something. You're trying to add something. How is it for you? You breaks like that, Mr. What are you gathering? I know it's a different kind of a conversation.
I was thinking, basically, I need to outsource. Because I was thinking how to get the explain the thing. So to compare, so we do use operations. So we do medical billing. So I was trying to compare India and Sri Lanka and advantages and disadvantages.
So it sounds to me like you are already processing an answer with the experience that you have.
Yes.
So I heard the key word is how to.
How?
So if you take few steps in thinking around how to, what would be helpful for you?
Already we are doing that.
No, this is answering this question.
So
We have not the business plan.
so we have the quality and the knowledge. And in India, you can get even for lesser the very less cost, but more quality.
What are you assuming? What are you assuming?
Yeah, so how to organize this
So
knowledge.
when I ask that question, don't get into biasness. When writing, because you put your business plan into the answer without your knowledge. Because you assume that okay, other parts of the world is our quality is high, so it's a bit biased. Right? So you can be open-minded, and then what are the theories that you are going to pick around that is also in a question. It's beautiful. So you are already processing the answer. Anything else to say? So you got that how to structure it. 40 words, para, 1, 2, 3 paras, 2 sides. 2 sides and 1. Yeah, that's good. 3 pages. Yes, I think that I is taking away.
Deciding on how to write the answer and how sustainable that answer could be in the long run, because from time to time things change. Right? So in the health industry, in particular for the health industry, how that's going to affect.
So one thing is that when you say that change and then when you demonstrate this answer, how globalization is influencing probably maybe you are choosing medical industry or any other industry. So there isn't any biasness to choose medical industry only. There are enough of other examples that you read, industries that you read now say is about prescribing, billing, outsourcing, international business, right? That then process get outsourced because it needs large labor kind of number of people have to work with, so less cost. Maybe that's the value. Right? So like that. So it's so what I'm hearing is what is how you learn. You had that, so maybe you had certain thoughts in terms of answering this question. How you learn when you're thinking like that. Mm.
You need to combine it with the technology which is advancing with your industry development, which is going to influence it later on.
So I'm hearing you're thinking of moving forward. That's kind of so there is something certain influences, and how do I move forward? Something like that. I'm sensing it. With that, so you like to bring examples and see where it is in the local context and international business context, and look at the trends in the international business in terms of volumes, in terms of industries, in terms of foreign direct investments, and how it is influencing us. So you can bring in anything there in terms of political support, political ideology, culture, right? All these complexities, how it will be influencing into probably that particular industry that you have to discuss, or maybe an example. So then make a broad යන you need to frame it then to that particular question. You can get lost also. So the best the way what I am thinking is start plan the answer. It can be changed while you are doing it, but don't write the first time answer. Sketch color, plan color, then you fill whatever the information. If you want to grab, you have a very that's how the artist
Basically, you want like a discussion.
yeah, fantastic. So that's a very good metaphor, right? It's a discussion. Discussion in a frame. There should be a frame of reference. That's the frame of reference, always frame of reference. You frame it in the beginning, right? And then you bring evidence, you bring examples. You say cultural example, production oriented example, right? Then all this is in the premise of international business. Movies, how the movie is running? If you look at the movie is running it from a premise, right? Dharma Yuddha, right? Dharma Yuddha is running. Dharma Yuddha is running from a premise of if you summarize it from a premise of what? Family, but beyond that, what's the premise?
The bond between
The power and the powerless. The whole premise is that. You want to cover what? Remember, we watch.
Yes. The last policeman.
The last question. Real was.
It's
Very downstairs.
Yeah, yes.
actually it's the guy in the main character kills murdered someone and the body is Police is searching, but the body is underneath underneath the police.
Police station. They have built a new police station.
Police station.
For the
And the OIC is sitting on the
on
police.
that.
So so you can see the premise. Premise is about now the whole other part is powerful, and this is simple, powerless mother, father into the daughters. No power. See, there's something simple like that. Manita, you have pain and that's it. Now you understand that. So you have to ask this question: what's the premise of my answer? What's the internal reason? Unfortunately. It is. There are different flowers, maybe, but all that is it holds here. So then it is party. Otherwise, you will make him lost and this can go, with anywhere with your control. No last thing there. Just an answer that you suppose or yeah. Always ask the premise. Even any conversation you have, you can ask the question, what's the premise of this conversation? And everything else. Alright. So we'll stop it and we'll take a break for 10 minutes. Right. Thank you very much. Kuna final naman yan.
Yes. So, you're not vegetarian, right? Yeah.
We can come there.
Okay.
There's a glass, yeah. Thanks. Why not some water? Yeah, you got a bottle. Alright, so shall we jump into anything to clarify further? No, I strongly believe you have this power to access information there. You know what to do, where to search, but I will download all this to you. I've already I'll say the month of folding in the system. And then you don't waste much of time in search of information. You have a textbook? No? And I download it. The recommended textbook is there. It's just a PDF, nothing, you just type the thing that you want, and it will give you all the paragraphs. You just objectively read, don't read everything. I have never read. You don't need to read everything. But the only thing is that the lack of picking the area that is, I think you know this, you have gone through this medical books, you have an appropriate one. Because you know how to navigate from the back. You still like, thank you so much. Right. So since you don't have anything, question? Not a lot of questions. 4 questions. It's 4 questions. 4 questions. Just be very careful with words. Create a lot of frustration. You see a lot of questions to 4 questions.
Yeah, for questions on this.
Questions? Four questions. Any question, Nika? Any question?
Brief describe the various theories of international trade. Malaysia is a big exporter of electrical and electronic components, and China of footwear, which international trade theory explains.
Yeah. So it's about trade theories. Hmm? Something interesting that all should know.
Question has given for each question.
By the-
For each question.
How much time you have?
Oh, it's just assignment.
Assignment 20. 20. 20.
Is it a four? That's the exam.
Exam.
20.
Exam.
Right.
Exam.
What is it? Sorry.
Assignment we have done. Exam. Exam. Are we going to get MCQs or
This is the book Charles W. Hill, right? So I will discuss certain things around that. Okay. Before that, so the first thing is trade theories. So what it means by theory? I ask fundamental questions generally to connect first. What is theory? When you say theory, make a counter on that. Yeah, so stop.
Yes.
What is theory?
Boston?
No, it's
No. What is theory? Okay, suppose like you are getting into tire manufacturing. Being a doctor, why not? Know how to start. He's a doctor, a profession, getting into manufacturing. You want to start up a business.
Just the theory is
The supply of problem. Supply problem.
That's one. Yeah. Even to find the supplier, right supplier, you need to have some. Yeah. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? From the scratch. There is recorded knowledge. One part is the recorded knowledge. And people have invested their brains in terms of studying certain elements or characteristics or attributes in depth in form of understanding the patterns, trends, and then hypothesis being developed, and then they went on researching around that and recorded that into proving the hypothesis, whether it is working or not, and that has kept as passive knowledge, accumulated knowledge. So theory is being proven in that process, isn't it? And we are in the process of doing that. Right? But that is recorded or maybe understood and accepted, but still open to be challenged with the new level of understanding. So that's a scientific process. This is theory. Meaning, none of these theories that we discuss are not 100%. Yeah, in practice, it's not there. But these theories will let us look at things in a way that it is, but dynamically changing environments like these theories. Sometimes the certain countries, when it comes to international trade, they may be still following or still having a bias towards certain orientation of running international business. When you look at these theories, can you look at mercantilism? Mercantilism it started in the year of 1500s. What is mercantilism?
Trade services.
It's very simple. 1500s can you imagine what kind of things they were just Egypt. What was the wealth for people? How they accumulated wealth? The gold and the silver. Fantastic. So isn't it still available? Some biases like that? Though the world has given so much. But still, this element is there, even like cultures, subcultures, having silver, gold, is that there? Still in nations, like some nations have it as reserves, bank reserves, diamonds. Yeah, diamonds. So, classical country-based theory is mercantilism is country-based theory. Now, example, this. Country's best interest is to maintain a trade surplus. What do you mean by trade surplus? Fewer imports, more exports, and keep that surplus. Isn't it from 1500 years back to today also we are in that, right? Isn't it? Now when it comes to competitive advantage and all that, those theories are not relevant sometimes for us because we have no competitiveness yet to find strongly. We are stuck in the middle. You take the neighboring country or Singapore, so they have competitive advantage very clearly understood. Right? So what I want is like you can read these things, all these theories. In that first step is to understand a little bit of this, what these theories are. So the question is asking that, right? The question is asking how it is stated in the first line.
Various theories of international trade.
Theories of international trade. Right. So if I go to so this is the purpose why we need to have these theories is for a country to like choose their direction, orientation towards having policies in terms of getting into business. So let us try to understand this in Sri Lankan context. I know it's a bit difficult because we are not sure. So what do you think? in terms of Sri Lankan economy, what kind of pattern or what kind of policy, economic policy that we have towards whatever the available knowledge, like what is it, Sri Lanka? We said it's a service economy.
Yes, we directly
Okay.
we directly
Tea.
Yeah.
Okay. That is agriculture based economy. Right? Economic mix. And not decisions. So we have to allocate money to agriculture. So that's okay. But trying to understand this. Right. What else? Service economy. What services?
Workshop services, IT, engineering,
What we are strong
electricity,
in terms of servicing. What is their potential services? Is there a geographical, geopolitical interest in Sri Lanka towards Sri Lanka?
Shipping.
Shipping, whatever. Aviation, now we are looking. Very awesome, right? So what else?
political life.
Yeah, there is an interest. What is that? Everybody wants to have a peace, some kind of a control over Sri Lanka. Can you see that? Big economies. What is that interest?
Control Asia,
Yeah, geologically, it is situated where any country can be targeted from Sri Lanka, even the missile system or anything. So it has not come to that, but everyone is interested. That's like from long. It is like always we were so many years under some other nation, which were not Dutch or Holland or so, right? Because it's in a route where you can access the other part of the world. Right? Silk Road, it's in a trading route. That's the competition that we are having with Singapore and us, India and us. So that's what is benefiting to Indians to invest in the Trincomalee port, or China to invest.
Chinese.
Yeah. So then, can you see that global influence? The previous question also. So what I want to tell is like, okay, so how in this, how we can, what kind of trade leverage that we can take in international trade? So what is our theory base in terms of designing a policy? So to understand that, understanding this trade rules, we had this policy, right? Free trade. What do you mean by free trade? Free trade.
government does not influence of the
Taxes. Yeah. So those are tax-free zones, and more like refers to sustain where the government does not attempt to influence through quotas and duties, right? So if you look at free trade zones, like Katunayaka, we call it export processing zones, right? So those zones been created with the orientation of attracting foreign direct investment, right? Locally to provide jobs and learn. What is that? Learning part? Technology transfer, fantastic. Learn the trade, which is not familiar to us. So that's how we got into an age where, if we look at Bangladesh manufacturing, government manufacturing, we done totally by Sri Lankan management. Because we will learn how to do it, right? So it happens in many industries, right? So, but what I want to say is, uh, when you're looking at how this is supporting international trade, it is important, like, to see what are the kind of theories that is being built over the years. Now, without getting into more detail here, now look at examples like Saudi Arabia or Arabic countries exporting oil. So what is the kind of theories there in exporting oil? Exporting oil. Now we all have to depend on them. So what is that? What theory explains that? Do they have advantage? Do they have absolute advantage? Right? So can we competitive with them in that sense? No. Why? We have to depend on them. So the theory around that is probably what? Absolute advantage. And because we don't have that, and we cannot have that, right? So I think the first step is understanding this different uh, economies and what kind of theory being backed by that. Right? Now look at the example given. Malaysia, electronic goods, and China, shoes. What it tells? Can't now say. Can one economic theory explain that? Is there absolute advantage there? Can't China manufacture electronics? Yeah, they are doing it very well. Right? So then you have to go a little deeper, right? So not to look at in one aspect or maybe one theory around it. You have to see using these theories and getting into a kind of evaluation. So what is the intent of the examiner in this question? Look at it. What is the intent? What is the examination intent? Let's write all the trade theories. What is the intention of the examiner?
Understanding.
What is the keyword? Understanding. So he wants to know whether you
About the Malaysian trade.
understand. Understand is first step there. Okay, understand what is the next question? Understand. Understand what? Understand what? Understand. So you have to demonstrate your understanding in the answer. So that is the clear there, right? Then for a discussion we can take about what is the whole what I realized in the answer. Understanding of trade. Monotrade. Right? Then that is first thing. Then what is B? What is the next thing? We discussed already. Now say we said understanding the trade is running ports efficiently in a service economy in Sri Lanka. So you have to demonstrate a bit of understanding about that. Okay? Then what is understanding? How do you demonstrate the next level of understanding in relation to this? What? Trade theory. Now, in supporting of understanding the international trade that you have chosen, what real theory supports that understanding? You got the point? Now we'll take that medical prescription thing. Dr. Priyandu is not, right? So, what is the theory? Understanding that trade. Now, if you can say that, to say that you have to have understanding of trade theory. So you can say the latest theory is about competitive advantage. By Michael Porter. Right? Those are latest theories. But only thing is for you to demonstrate understanding, you have to create what? A conversation, perspective taking conversation in your writing. Not just say this is the theory and this is the business. You have to put it into that and have a conversation around it, writing, right? So what trade theory is backing that international trade? It can be running ports efficiently in a service economy, or it can be doing medical prescriptions or medical billing at a lower cost, right? Taking that low cost as an advantage, competitive advantage. You see that? Support. Describe, analyze that. Then now you are doing what? You are demonstrating your understanding, right? But here they have told you, look at China and Malaysia. Where it is taking you? Now where it is taking you? How much you know about China and Malaysia? Okay, up to now, what are you realizing? Constructing this answer.
Malaysia
How? And I think there's a site from CIE, US, country-wise data. It gives you everything, most latest. CIA. You know CIA? That's the same thing, yeah. It's a government site, same thing. But it gives you a lot of data, demographic data, industries, geographical size, population, breakdowns, lot of data. And that keep on collecting those. And there are agents available. So I think that also you can check and see, like, and there are say country related institutions that provides you with information. That you can take yourself as an investor to that country and see this. So what are the places you can get information?
Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce. Whatever.
EDB.
Yes, now Sri Lankan context it is EDB, right? So even international context it's EDB. So there are export women board in Sri Lanka. There can be different institutions, government institutions which promotes their exports. Yeah, their exports, right? So to understand this, two countries, and then what you have to demonstrate. Now you understand these two countries and their what? Trade theories. Right? So that now he has a connection, trade theory and the country, right? And how they do business. Okay, now what to be offered now to the examiner in this way? Again, read that question. He wants to know.
So we have explained about the two trades of the two countries.
Yes.
And which Nikkei clearly explained. And we have put that, connected that to the international theories, which one is particular for each country.
So, I will take you through the most related and latest one, right? So, have you heard of this theory? Porter's, right? Michael Porter, right? Define attributes. He calls the diamond, and this is the diamond. National competitiveness advantage, Porter's diamond. Don't get biased, right? But I'm just discussing this with thinking of the relevancy in terms of this is what kind of products are they? In the question, what kind of products those are?
As electronic items.
Yeah, very much of commodity, right? Everybody uses it. And when it comes to that kind of products, what is the challenge? To get a competitive advantage, you have to have some deliberate planning, right? It's not like a commodity, right? Oil, it's no big deal, right? But this here, if you look at the nature of the products in the question, and we already know China can manufacture easily electronics. Huh? There's something to find out. Okay, so firm strategy, structure, and rivalry. So one element that you have to look at is the strategy around it. Now, you very well know all electronics being branded electronics being manufactured in China. So that's the reality, right? Maybe this question. Now, what I'm saying in this question?
Right question.
Maybe. Now, see, is it okay for you to take that as a challenge and as a masterful student to say that and justify it and challenge it? Not just to accept it. No, I have to somehow find. What do you think? reality is China is manufacturing all electronics. How many Malaysian products that you use? Okay, now if you are a master student, you can get you with confidence and understanding you dominate or you confront this idea with a support of theories, or just accept it and try to search some connection. Those are choices. Okay. I'm just highlighting this because you're right. Demand conditions, the shoes, the particular products, shoes and electronics. What kind of demand condition? Monopoly demand condition. Now you have now relate those to some kind of population. Shoes, right? Legs. So what are the markets? The shoes. Yes. Huh? Universal market. Right? So then what kind of shoes? Universal market is for maybe branded shoes, or maybe not that much branded, or maybe cheap quality shoes. Right? So you don't need to go in terms of understanding the segment of what segment is that or what kind of product is that, but overall understanding of this particular behavior of demand and supply. Not only demand contain electronics and shoes. How many pair of shoes that you use per year? Those days, after I got a DEI, just one and that's it. For 3 years maybe. Now, shoes, average. Yeah, 5 months, 6 months maximum. The concept has changed, right? No more durable shoes, but designer shoes. Then changing frequently. Electronics. Same. Which is faster? Maybe electronics is faster, maybe, right? So what I want to say is you are not just looking at trade, you're looking at product also and behavior of the product and demand, right? So related supporting industries. So what do you mean by that?
For shoes, maybe rubber industry.
Yes, raw material. So rubber is an industry, right? Now you know Sri Lanka produced the best what rubber? Great. And that's why two big world's number one. Actually, we are one of the main suppliers for rubber tires, especially the solid tires. Okay? And we are the main number one actually in that. Nobody knows. It happens in the export processing zone, right? Diagama and in Gaul, Pogala. Those days, it is the factory is called. Now it is called Solidire Thermoplast. It's a Canadian. Okay. Right. So why is that? Because of the supporting industry and the quality of the raw material. Right. So related supporting industries. So you may have to see in these two industries, is there any components or maybe other industries that is supporting in terms of manufacturing shoes. It can be leather shoes or canvas shoes. Right? Then the other factors. What are the factors of endowment? What are the factors of production? In terms of this, it's production.
manpower,
Yes. Man, money,
machines,
machinery, technology, yeah, entrepreneurship, right? So those things. So how much? Now, can you see these arrows? Where it is?
both sides.
Everywhere. So what it means? Yeah. Now, to understanding purpose, we take that the medical tourism. Okay. In terms of medical tourism, uh, is there a firm strategy?
In Sri Lanka,
Yes, Sri Lankan countries.
I don't think
Sorry.
so.
Everyone's head it is there, so it is good. And if you can do this, and so what is needed there? Firm strategy. Okay. Now, what happens over the influence of a Singaporean or an Indian chain of hospital coming in here and investing? What will happen?
So competitiveness.
Yeah, it can have a positive impact as well as the competitiveness will increase, as well as there can be certain negativity also. In terms of, even in the IT industry, that's why the free trade agreements and all, like, okay, now IT engineers, if they come here from India, it may create imbalance in terms of creating jobs and things like that. So I was in Bahrain for 4 years. So the whole medical industry is being managed by whom? Indian doctors and Egyptian doctors. Nurses, all from Kerala and India. So they've been trained specially to cater Arabic countries. And they are actually following whatever the training schools are following, all the selection criteria of those countries. And how about us? Our nurses? Any training is aligned? Can it be an export of our knowledge of nurses than housemates? Will it be better? No, no alignment like that. I'm bringing these examples. So there isn't any structure. Now, India, they have their structure to cater to that demand, to train people into that. We don't have structure. Right? So, can you see, when you put this theory, it's easy to explain. Now, you got the trade theory, you got the industry, and you're explaining it, how it is impacting international business, because you are crafting an answer in international business, and you are demonstrating your understanding. Right? Just one part right. Okay, so factors of endowment means, so why solid tires, rubber blouses, condoms, all that is manufactured in Sri Lanka. This dip products you call it, because of the quality of the rubber. So, do we have a competitive advantage in that? Yes. So, in terms of factors, so it's easy to elaborate on this, supporting with a theory, right? So, now in this question, now what is the area that you need to search more? It's not Sri Lanka, right? It's about 2 countries. So, what is that understanding that the examiner is seeking from you? is for you to do research around these two economies. But in the frame of electronic industry and shoe industry. Economic research. That's it. Right? And bring it down, pin it down to international research. අපි ගමු shoes ලංකාවේ shoes කොහෙන්ද කොහේ shoes තියෙන්නේ දැන් නිවෙකට පැත්තේම I saw Chinese shoes. All the brands in manufactured in China. What would be the reason? Probably without any research, if you see production costs, and they are very adaptable to create any design and come out with any cost structure. Yeah.
If you say 500, they will manufacture for 500.
Yeah. So that's the kind of speed that they have in terms of adapting the manufacturing and supporting systems. And then they have the best infrastructure in terms of getting your shipments fast to your doorstep. Maybe Malaysia will not have that. Maybe. Right? So now it's about why I said research, you have to go a little inside and see what are those advantages in terms of competitiveness. Is there the supporting infrastructure? Is there the cost benefit? Is there the demand? Is there the low price? How? So what is the position in terms of China is happening to Malaysia in terms of that? So we can have a little discussion among these two as well. So can you see how artful this answer is? There's no one way. You take one breath, you stop, have a pause and say just integrate or whatever all our thoughts and see what are we realizing now, answering the second question. Intention is clear, right? Intention is demonstrate my understanding of all this. What are you learning? This answer is, what is the direction of the answer? Initially you thought it's about understanding the trade theory. Then you got trade theories, I don't know. Now, what is the difference? It's about understanding how international business works. And analyzing it, or maybe demonstrating my understanding by having a critical analysis using the theory. In given two industries. You see that? Clearly, what are you learning in this discussion?
So we have to put international business into this in those industrial business.
Exactly. Nice. And that is, once you put it in, what is the outcome that you offer? That matters. The answer. Okay. Now you have this way how to do. You have why you have to do, or what you have to do. Yes. Examiner is asking you understanding. What are you going to offer? Doing that.
To understand different theories.
Then you know that was theories.
Neither we know.
Neither we understand. What do you want to offer him? So,
The way you,
so he should be 15 months here and that is what you want him to do.
Yes.
No? Fire. So it has to be something artful. So, so maybe you can't answer that question right now. So that's why I said the path is a bit of research before formulating. හැබැයි දැන් යන්නේ කොහොමද කියන එක මොනවද කරන්න ඕන කියන එක අයිඩියා එකක් එනවා.
that's how you do international business. You get in, that's it.
Exactly. Spot on. This is what, if you suppose you are starting a business tomorrow, that is the comprehension that has to be given. And today the beauty is there isn't any size matters for international business. You know that, right? There can be MNCs, multinationals, with 7,000, 10,000 people, and there can be just 10 people doing globally. Tell me companies like that.
Facebook.
Exactly. Where's Amazon? Where's Amazon? Who's Amazon? Nobody knows. But hey, and the who's coming. Is there a form? There is a form, but we can't understand. It's like magic, right? You don't know from where it's been delivered to your doorstep sometimes. It's surprising. You don't know how it happens and you don't want to know also. Clear? So the potential and possibility, thank you. I really like the entrepreneurship sense. So if you learn something, if you can do something around it, that's the best. So true, like sometimes we choose to work all our lives, but again there are many possibilities. If you take that calculated risk in doing something uniquely, differently, using this one. Right? So in my case, I'm teaching online. Actually, my business partner is in Singapore. So in this one batch, we teach coaching. 45 students at the rate of $3,000. It's been 21 million. And my colleague, I'm actually facilitating two other coaches from US, and we all teach from wherever we are. And it took him only 2 years or 3 years, actually, to get into a class size of 45 and $3,000. From where? From home. And in front of a computer. So why I'm saying that is, it doesn't really matter to do business internationally. The size doesn't matter. There is a guy, a colleague of mine, who does indenting from home and container loads of edible fat. That fat goes into chocolates, various products, like processed products, food. Edible fat. What's his office? Bedroom. And his computer. And there's another colleague of mine from Valimata, and he's now, Valimata person. He's from Latvia. Brokerage. Broker. What? Ship broker. So 2 ships per year is enough. Ship broker. So what I'm saying is that invitation you're learning, I see, this comprehension helps you to think very different, very different. That's the benefit. How do you conclude it? This session? This your takeaway. Yeah, no, really done, no? Areas, it's very easy. All these theories, you can just take it, and it is in any book it's there. And I'm also giving you a word with you, the book, and all the presentations. You know how to read it. Navigate the book. Don't read like another. Then, okay, what is your learning? So you said, how about yourself? Yeah, from this discussion. What is your takeaway?
Multiple factors have been taken into account to make a successful enterprise.
So when you say multiple, what means?
All the different external factors that I need to make a calculated risk.
Channel out your internal desire to a product or a service.
Like educated, calculated risk as compared to just a risk.
Yeah. So there are two ways of executing. Do it, learn it. Learn it, do it. Sometimes the difference is sometimes academics. So I mean that some they learn it. For some reason not doing it. But the opportunity is lost. Some they don't know that they are doing it and experiencing the learning. So, and all those are choices. It doesn't mean to say that we have to do something biasness, but those are choices. So what the beauty is in this 9,000 days, I'm bringing to that context. So in these 9,000 days, how do I want to choose? Or what do I need to choose which is giving me the highest level of pleasure and happiness? And give me the meaningfulness for me and to others through me. And money is an outcome. So finding that is the real challenge is that finding what you are passionate about. It's
Motivation.
it's not a motive. At surface level, it's motivational skill. For me, it's a total transformation of how you see the world, how you position yourself in that world. It's, it's about ultimate expression of your own self. That's it. Nothing else. And every religion has proven it without science. Now they are revisiting. The science is revisiting the wisdom and validating it. Okay, this right, this right. Okay, this. Right? So, I know this philosophy. That human beings have missed something in this journey. Something is few people have really catched what it is. They became inventors and creators. And they did things during that 9,000 days. Or less than that. So Steve Jobs is less than that. How fast the creativity. That is masterfulness. Mastery is about doing things at a very speedy level, in a very high level of with a high level of creativity. Not in a attached to my protection or safety, taking risk. So සමහරට ඒ ෆෝමියුලා එකේ එතන වෙන්නත් සමහරකට මම දන්නේ නැහැ. එතන වෙන්නත් සමහරකට ඉන්නේ හිතේ. අපි කොච්චර අවුරුදු 30ක් හිතනවද 42 අපේ නිදාසන්නේ වටේ න එතන ඉඳන් තාම හිතාගන්න බැරි something is missing collective wisdom is missing and then some discipline around common good towards common good Singapore changes that it's a very tight controlled philosophy there but still it works there is a pain lot of pain also in it. But there's a lot of damage also in learning that control but still Hong Kong Taiwan the Asian countries if you look at ASEAN economy very dynamic for some reason that we were away from that 40s only all these countries were there so that deep jump somewhere we are missing something
window of opportunity.
exactly
We didn't grab that one.
yeah and we drop it to the second time also
After 2006.
yeah. So being sad is one thing but doing something around it is something else say suppose you become entrepreneur and you create that type international partnership. My wish is that. That's why I partnered with a Singaporean firm first. And it was very difficult for me to adjust to their speed. They work day and night, And, they challenge, my partner challenging me on the time. Initially, now I'm adapting myself to the responsible person. We need to change. So you'll break it now. So we'll have a lunch break or then come later. Full break. How many minutes? 1 hour. See, I think it's a minute. I ask for you. What is your takeaway? When I say your takeaway, it's different to generalized takeaway. I insist that. There's a significance. What is significant for you? That is what I asked you.
Learning. Learn with the different aids and different things.
It sounds to me very generic. How is it for you?
Yes. The moment I don't get little bit, when I'm going to analyze the question, who can explain.
So what could be if you're doing next week or in 2 weeks? What would be your first step?
Basically, we do research.
Research on
Research on player theories. Investing.
industry like that.
Especially to
So how it is important so that is
there's no big importance. Sign business.
repeat again.
Yeah, the outcome.
I don't know.
Then- then
That
maybe
laugh
it's-
tells me something else. Why did you say this? Maybe searching for relevance. Interesting. Right. Okay. And you see that I just want you to personalize. That's why those questions being asked. Because I'm not only a huge Alan coach, that's the questions.
When I perceived that question, I also thought that we have to easily have a good explanation on international trend and we have to do this
Yeah.
applicant get the technical theory for this total context and write the answer. Now I understand it should be the first two might be included, and when we go to the third part of that question, it means comparing the two China and Malaysia, this was we have to understand about their trade on that particular fields, and we can therefore we can narrow down our research, and then we have to compose the answer relating on their trends. We can to explain that discrimination on this electronic and good pair.
So doing all this, what do you want to offer to me? Me or you?
I have to show that I am having a good understanding on two trades, in both countries, and my understanding is not confined to that, but I also know the other theories also in the other parts.
Based on those theories, you do this analysis.
And
And then you surface your understanding. Something will come in that. What do you want to do with that? What do you want to do in terms of offering that to the exam?
yeah, I think I have to justify my
So the last my answer. So the pattern is, yeah, I see that we, you can own the answer even when you're writing. Before you talk, when you talk, we have to, we don't have to. Just the observation for you. It will benefit you because you are managing teams and very different stakeholders in the hospital, unions and nurses and so this can create a very different understanding. So it's generalization. Generalization that you don't handle in terms of conversation and the words. Because your word is technical. So when you say we have to, how do you know what we say that? Can be a question in somebody else. Especially in positions, when you're in can stay in high position when you say that. In Sri Lanka, in government sector, it works. But again, like you really need to get the participation.
At least a spotlight.
Spotlight, okay. Not spot. Not spot. That is very funny.
No. There is a thing. There was a question episode where the person who has to answer it, because they cannot put them on the hot spot, and everyone, all the lights are on, and this is what they say.
But if he's combining us, or combining the
This was I actually gave something additional pattern. So I observed the pattern, which I thought it's not really thinking. I thought it might help Doctor, since he's in a different sector, environment, mm, I'm just imagining those, not with the comprehension, but looking at what's happening.
When we talk that in our hospital context, when we are talking about, I want to do this kind of thing. It's a problem. It's very, very difficult to manage the other part. Might be wrong.
So,
But
it's about now, say,
we are always promoting the team work and we have to do it.
No. Teamwork, the presentation is, this is how I think, with my understanding. Then it is there an invitation in that. So what do you think? It's a collaboration. You got the point? So rather than me thinking for you, and that's the error in teamwork. Yeah. So then when you say this is how I think, it's a invitation. No, do you think? That's where the user story comes in that, and then okay, let us see that. So I have some similarity here. I have a gap here. I need some clarification. Can you explain me this part of this opportunity here? That is not me. Now, then, and the other team call blah 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 blah. And it is task work, not to do most of the time. We talk that way and go and do our own task. And expecting some beautiful thing happen. They are doing their little things. Collaboration again happen. But yeah, conceptually, belief level, value level, feeling level, they are connected. Because he says, he listen to my story. I disagree, but he listens. So you something like that. Bring it to the culture. Yeah. This sorry, I'm taking time.
To understand like, which theory has been used by each country to make their particular industry the most important one to stand out among the rest. So why they chose each theory, how it has helped them to sustain.
Yeah. So yeah. So different economies, what is stood out in terms of significant in terms of theory, their policies, and what benefits. Right? How do you frame it to the question? That understand.
That you understand the theory in general and how it has helped them.
Yeah. In these countries, theory. Only 1% of the theory and how it is benefiting. Then we will go root at a pain or strategy. Then it's cooking. You know the recipe ka තියෙනවා නම් cooking ingredients ටික තියෙනවා නම් කරගන්න. Ingredients ටික ලං කරගන්න. Then put your heart into it. Like heart, you know, put a heart එකට ගන්න එක. How much okay put actually cook. Okay then. So time 12:30. So 1:30 will be that. Yes. You can talk about yourself and let me know if there's anything specific you need to make that. When I'm really about communicate, even within the class or after the class.
Sir.
measures.
And your social
MBA hospital administration. Medical
transplant or that is any transplant. You saw have you noticed anything different in my conversation? So it's been trained. Previous conversations. You see possibilities. Opposite to it's basically I know this. Initially, you had this. You started connecting that's both of us.